Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan off Alison McConnell, and Tom McManus here with me on this Monday. We'll look back over the Scottish Cup fifth round results, still one to be determined, and of course there's the draw for the quarter-finals on the way after Darvel take on Falkirk. There's lots to discuss. Of course, managerial casualties will be at the forefront of our discussion. There was a tremendous display of sportsmanship in the Rangers Partick Thistle match. Celtic again ruthless against 10 men. St Mirren knocked out of the Scottish Cup. Of course, we lost Stephen Hamill as the Motherwell manager because of that shock loss against Raith Rovers. And then sensationally, Ian McCall was gone as Partick Thistle boss. Ruffy's here, we'll get his thoughts on it as well. Any chance of a scoop quickly diminished when we spoke to Ruffy for 35 seconds before the show started and realised that over the 10-year period we're still not going to get a scoop from him, Tom. It's as simple as that.
Nothing in the I thought you'd told us who the new manager was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there you are. Silence. The only time I've had him silenced like that is the day that he highlighted the big dark protest across the banks of the Partick Thistle area with the new board, eh? Yeah, that you kept silent that day, didn't you? Yes. For the new board who can't take a joke. There you are, and a big hello to all you guys out there. Anyway, lots to talk about. Here's the quiz. Got a good quiz, bearing in mind it's Liverpool against Everton tonight. When was the last time Everton won at Anfield in the league? You want to take a guess, Ruffy? It's a belter. Just give us a year.
2010.
2010. Ali?
I think it goes further back than that. Yeah. I'm going to say 2006.
2006.
He's looking at the screen.
Oh, no, he's scouring. But do you know what I've done now, Ali? I've now put the answer way at the bottom of the running order. It kills him. Stone dead. You want to go?
2002.
2002. So quite a lot of people going early on this one. Give us your thoughts. It might even be further back. Liverpool at Anfield, losing a Merseyside derby. Give us your thoughts on that. Now, I've got to say, I've just had a look here, and congratulations to our two competition winners, because last week we were giving away a fantastic history of the Rangers football shirt and the history of the Celtic football shirt. Two great books with brilliant pictures, memories of players who wore a particular shirt, memories of teams in an unforgettable season for you. So many people were in for this competition, and thank you to each and every one of you for making the effort and of course hitting the subscribe button. The winners of our competition: Andrew Boyd is the winner of the Rangers book, and Gerard Murphy wins the Celtic book. Congratulations to you guys. We'll be contacting you for your address, and we'll be sending the books out pronto. Simple as that. What about this week's competition?
Another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win this iconic replica Ajax shirt by answering this simple question: how many times have Ajax won the European Cup? Post your answers in the comment section below. If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
There you are.
How many times, Ruffy? How many times they won it?
I was trying to see how many badges they had at the top of their stars, but they don't do that.
No,
so
I was just about to say, don't put people off the scent, Ruffy. And of course, last week Kerry has a good luck and there's a big giant smile. Adam looks as if he's delivering the Gettysburg Address, doesn't he? Good luck, everybody. This is serious. This is not to have any fun with. Anyway, we still love him.
You might have a thin skin coming in here, would you?
No, absolutely not. Well, talking of thick skin, to my right hand side, great to have Tam with us. A lot of people lost money, Ruffy. We thought he wasn't going to make it today. 5:30 in the morning, Super Bowl, couldn't even predict the winner. Him and his Isco bridesmaids, and I gave them pelters. I told them that the Chiefs would win it.
Yeah, I'm not into the American football, but I know you are. You know, you're watching it all the way through for the final. It's a massive night for everybody, and I think anybody who's watching the show today can tell what time Tam was up with just looking at his eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I get rid of it at 5:30 this morning, I'm probably laughing watching this show right now, sitting in their bed.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if your mates are up now at this time, I'll be gobsmacked. So thank you to so many of you for giving us your thoughts on the answer to the competition. If you hit the subscribe button, it doubles your chances of being selected. So good luck with that, and thank you to so many of you who are subscribing and basically consuming as much of the content as you possibly can, because on the Saturday show, Tam, we've got reporters out at the grounds, we've got managers and players interviews all the way through 4 till 6.
Yep, it's been brilliant so far, the Saturday show, and you've got reporters out there bringing you up-to-date news, interviews straight after the game. Nobody else in Scotland is doing it.
Yep, it's as simple as that. Never thought about it that way, Tam, but you're absolutely right.
Bum your show up, sorry.
Yep, absolutely. You can see where he's going, Ruffy, can't you? There's been scoops non-stop, there's been interviews.
Just need a Sunday show, and then Ruffy will just be slowly but surely pushed out. Never do a Sunday either.
No, absolutely. Listen to him, I'm amazed he does a Monday to Friday. You were off on Friday. What were you off on Friday for? What was another MBE?
No. I had obviously a wee health scare. I had to go and get a wee check-up just to make sure everything was okay. You're okay? I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me now, because I know you were really worried.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Ruffy.
Ever since he gets MBE, he just picks and chooses when he wants to come in. Big time now.
Lots of people when you weren't here on Friday were actually mentioning your health and saying, hope the extension goes well. So that's absolutely fine. Well done to everybody there. We'll give you details of that as well. In fact, that's tomorrow's quiz when Ali's not here. So here's the results. Here's the results from the weekend. Hamilton Accies 0, Hearts 2 was the Friday. Ayr United 4, Elgin City 1. That went to extra time, and Ayr United eventually triumphing. I felt really sorry for Elgin City losing a goal in the dying seconds. Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. Similar scoreline to their league encounter. It was Livingston 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 3. Did you tip that? Wraith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1. That cost Stephen Hamill his job. Celtic 5, St Mirren 1. Rangers 3, Partick Thistle 2. And tonight it's Darvel against Falkirk. So that's the last of the ties, and then we'll get the draw. Let's quickly talk about Rangers against Partick Thistle, because yet again it's a display, Ruffy, of Michael Beale's team grinding it out and finding that crucial goal.
Yeah, they did grind it out. I personally didn't think they played particularly well. I think all the credit goes to Partick Thistle. A lot of people were saying it was a breath of fresh air, a championship team actually coming to one of the big boys and having a go. Generally, most of them sit in, and don't come out and don't have any possession of the ball at all. But I think Ian set his stall up to get about them, to sort of close down the good players in the Rangers side, and I think that's what they did in the first half. Obviously Rangers have got the quality, and they're going to come back at some time, but no, I thought the way Ian set out his stall was really good. Before I get Ali and Tam's thoughts on the overall performance of Rangers and Partick Thistle, surprised that Ian McCall was sacked? Yeah, I have to say I was. When I heard the news, I was actually stunned, particularly the way it happened. After a game, after a good performance, the players really putting in a shift for the manager and the team and the fans. So for it to happen right after the game, I just couldn't get my head around it. As you know, I'm not privy to what's happening inside the club just now. I obviously believe there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes with all the different fan base that's there. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I do know that, and the evidence the Rangers game, that the players are 100% behind them. You usually get when you have a couple of bad results, people say, oh, he's lost the dressing room, players don't want to play for them. That evidence yesterday showed that these players do want to play for him. They're all his players. The only thing I would add was, I know for a fact he was trying to get the club in a good, healthy position for the future. We've got 2 or 3 young boys that we're talking about with Tam, that big clubs have been sniffing about. I know he wanted them on longer contracts. I know he wanted some first team boys on longer contracts. That was his ambition, to have everything settled for the next 2 or 3 years. That didn't happen in the window. I'm only speculating. I don't know if that had something to do with it. But shock for me, absolute shock. That point there you're making is, are you suggesting that the board maybe had already made up their minds and that's why they weren't committing to it's just speculation. It's just, I know for a fact that that's what was happening. And the evidence of the window there, we only brought in 1 player, a centre half. Where all the other teams that were going for promotion, the Queen's Park, Dundee's, Ayr United, all strengthened for that final push. That never happened. In my eyes, it never happened because nobody come through the door, and I was surprised by that, because obviously when you get the Rangers tie, a lot of money coming into the club, you're talking about £250,000. So I would have thought the board that I had would have speculated on that money and done something to help Ian's cause.
Okay, here's what Thistle had to say on the sacking of Ian McCall. Partick Thistle have this evening relieved Ian McCall, Alan Archibald and Neil Scally of their duties with immediate effect. The club would like to place on record its sincere appreciation for all three and their contributions to Partick Thistle over many years. Under 18 coach Chris Doolan will take on the role of first team manager on an interim basis and will be assisted by Academy Director Paul McDonald. At this crucial juncture of the season, we ask all members of the Partick Thistle family to get behind Chris and the team as we strive for promotion to the Scottish Premiership. Well, that was the first shock of the day. Surprise to you, Ali?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the timing, apart from anything else, was a shock. I think there was a point maybe a few weeks ago when results were a bit rocky and inconsistent that you possibly feared for him, but I thought the timing felt incredibly odd.
Yeah.
In the immediate aftermath of a game where I think they left Ibrox with their heads held high. I thought they went and gave a really good and strong account of themselves. Like what Ruffy said, I think it came across as a very spirited dressing room, as a team that looked cohesive, united behind the manager. I think everyone was taken aback by it, and I think the timing feels incredibly odd. I don't know if it's a decision that's been made earlier and it's deemed, well, let the team go and play the game at Ibrox because you don't want to be going in with a makeshift management team. I don't know, but I thought the timing was just bizarre.
Yeah, if the timing was odd, take that out of the equation. Let's offer a moment of balance on the fact that regardless of which board is in place, even if it's the new board who's coming in, if they assess Ian McCall's side and where they were in the league and possibly where they should have been given the team that he's put together, is that maybe what he eventually fell foul of, that they were underperforming?
Yeah, I think that Partick Thistle would have had ambitions to win the league this season. The squad they've got, the budget they've got. Morton winning on Saturday meant they dropped out of the top four. They dropped down to fifth. That could have been a factor as well. Considering the way Partick Thistle started the season in terms of great performances, top of the league, they've really fell away in recent weeks, losing to Hamilton and Cove Rangers. So I think this was already a decision that was made, no matter the result. Even if Partick Thistle would have probably went and won, I think their minds were made up that they wanted a change and they wanted Ian and his staff out. So listen, I think Ian McCall over the piece has done a great job at Partick Thistle. I think when he took over, I think from Gary Caldwell, they were struggling in the league. Obviously he's not managed to get them promoted, but they've been in the playoffs, regular. So I think it's a shocker for a lot of Partick Thistle fans, but listen, the people that run in the club will do as they see fit, and if they believe another manager's going to get a better tune out the players, then they're going to do that. So whether Chris Doolan gets it or a more experienced guy comes in, it'll be interesting to see, but I think after that performance, I think a lot of people were really surprised. Yeah,
but interesting to see who they go for. I mean, there's a lot of speculation. I mean, Duncan Smiley's friendly with Neil Lennon. Is that an unbelievable coup in the future, or is he still going to be sitting in Cyprus thinking, I must avoid the tax man?
I think that Neil would try to get back in. He's obviously lives in that area in the West End. He ticks a lot of boxes. I think his son's at the club, at Partick Thistle as well. So, but I think that Neil would be looking for a Premier League job. No disrespect to Partick Thistle, but I think if it was ever going to be a Championship club it would ever go to, it would be Thistle, because it's right in his doorstep.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to associate every vacancy at Partick Thistle with people who live in the West End, because if that's the case, you could give it to the lead singer of the Blue Nile as well. There's a lot of celebrities in that area, Ali. But you just need to make sure that the next man for the job, his remit must surely be, by the way, get us into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has been a disappointing return, probably since just around Christmas to now in the slide down, but I think he deserved to get to the end of the season. I think he should have been given until the end of the campaign to see where it was going. I think every team in the Championship is such a competitive league. I think they all have a dip at one point. I think he had time to recover. I think it would have been plausible still for them to make the playoffs. I think it would have been sensible to hang on, wait to see where they were in May and then make a decision. I think at this point in the season, when you've not spent money in January, when you don't have another transfer window to correct anything, to strengthen, I think they might have been better off just hanging fire and seeing where it was going. And I think there is a decent squad of players there. I think the boy Scott Tiffany, I think always stands out. I think the times you see him, I think he he stands out. I think there's a good spine in the team. I think there's a good spine of experience too. And I think you would hope now that a manager going in can maybe just inject a bit of life towards the end of the season and a push, because it's not beyond them still to get the playoff spot.
Just on the game itself, Ruffy, I know that in this area of the west of Scotland, there's a tremendous amount of tribalism. There's a tremendous amount of bitterness towards certain teams and things like that. I think when people realise that football is only a sport and you can detach yourself and see that people have a life outside of the game and are, normal people going about their business, I, for one, looked at that whole situation with the Tillman goal and Michael Beale's decision to, say to his team, let Partick Thistle go through and score that goal. I thought it was a tremendous display of sportsmanship. I thought it was just indicative of, what we should look at in people. And I just thought it was a thoroughly decent act by him. I would not be surprised if it was one of those situations that is similar to, a Paolo Di Canio, a Fair Play Award type of thing for him. But I thought it was a great act by the manager. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think so. I think right away it was instant. It wasn't hanging about. He called his players over and said, look, this is what's going to happen, and fair play to them. I think he done particularly well. He actually must have had another thing in the back of his mind as well, because what he's done, he's saved a young player with a lot of future in front of him. It could have got bad press. It could have ruined his career if he hadn't done anything. Yeah. Because Tillman would have been labelled as the player that did something he shouldn't do. So for that, the manager coming out and saving a young boy's career as well, and quite rightly so, it should have been done. And I think it was good. I wasn't too happy with Alan McGregor trying to make Scott Tiffany's difficult.
Yeah.
At one stage, at one stage, I thought he was going to trip out the ball and kick it by the post. Oh, here, have another shot.
To be fair to Alan McGregor, he's like you. He would hate to lose it. Tiddlywinks, just raging that somebody's going to score an easy goal past him. But of course, I think the Rangers manager just pointed out it was the right thing to do.
I tell you why it was the right thing to do, Mark, because Malik Tillman is a fantastic young player, and I don't want that hanging around his head. He's never cheated anyone in his life, and as a football club, we got high standards. We don't need to do that to be Partick Thistle at home, and it was a complete misunderstanding. It was not in fitting with the game, the way it was played, or the way it was played after. I thought afterwards the players all managed to play the game well.
I tell you, if it was lucky, Kevin Hope was lucky by what about the touch he took?
Yeah, it was
no wonder
really
he
heavy.
went. No wonder he went and pressed the ball. It did a shocking touch.
But I think he had a touch because he knew he
didn't.
was going to get challenged.
He was
going to look
no,
up
he took a bad touch, and that's how Tillman pressed him. Well, he's the most relieved man.
I think there's an element of truth in that, I have to say.
It took a shocking touch.
I don't think Tillman, was. I don't think he really knew.
He was lying in the ground, but Ruffy doesn't. You said he.
No, the point I was making was a very remarkable recovery after he was lying in the ground, and rolling about in agony, and he picks the ball and goes by at pace, and goes in and a wee dribble and a wee tuck, a wee pull back, and it's in the net.
Let's not analyse every footballer who suddenly displays that ability that Lazarus. Yes, absolutely.
No, I have to add, he did get stood on.
Yeah.
It was definitely an injury, but remarkable recovery.
Yeah. You really are a moron, so yeah. I thought it was I just thought it was a tremendous display of sportsmanship, decency from Michael Beale. Well done to him. And I think, for all the plaudits that come his way from it, that's what we want to see in the sport. As far as Ian McCall was concerned, I think he also shared that view.
Quite obviously, he should retreat and we were just about to kick it back to them. And then Mick made the decision, which I think reflects very well on him in this football club. Although Al McGregor, I thought at one point wasn't going to let him put it in the net. And then it was game on after that, 2-2. So I hold no ill feeling towards Malik Tillman whatsoever. I'm not sure he really realised what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the end, though, Rangers get through 3-2. They're in the draw. Overall, their performance, again, I think Thistle, we've given them due credit for the way they went about their business. Rangers still not firing in all cylinders the way I think Michael Beale wants them to, and he's not making any excuses for them.
No, I thought that Rangers made too many changes. I thought they had too many players in the team that were undercooked in terms of game time. You know, he had Hadji in there, Cantwell, Cholak, Sands played. There's a lot of guys who hadn't been playing much football, and I thought that they looked sharper.
What about Cholak, the penalty? I mean, honestly, there's too many VARs to talk about, but if you're giving penalties for that, the game's a bogey, isn't it?
No, I think
it's another one.
That's something that they've got to look at. They've got to look at the handballs. I think the rest of it, the offsides, the potential red cards, I think all that's been handled on the piece pretty well. It's the handballs. You know, what is a handball? What is an unnatural position?
See that, Charlie? I'd love to know the discussion that they're having to get to order that. I'd love to know what the referee and the guy in the VAR room are talking to each other about when they come to that decision. It's a penalty. I just love to know the dialogue of, did it hit his hand or did it not hit his hand? Oh, it's hit his hand.
It's
so
one
it's
of
a penalty.
those ones, like we've seen so many with VAR, that no one thinks it is, apart from the person that's given it.
No, but if they were all mic'd up, Ali, we could hear them saying, here is the rule,
and
here is what the interpretation is.
The
but they don't want to do that because the consistency, it's not there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long time actually getting to it as well.
That's another big problem, I think, with VAR, is just how long all these decisions are taking. And it was a couple of brief ones yesterday, but some of them you're talking 3 and 4 minutes. I think if you're at a ground and watching the game, it's far too slow. I think you have to have it quicker and more seamless. But that's another one of many examples, I think, of VAR where you think there isn't a person round about you that you speak to thinks that's a penalty, and then the decision's given and you're thinking, how on earth have you got to that conclusion from what you've seen?
And the Rangers one wasn't a penalty either, was it? It was outside the box.
I thought it was outside the box as well.
Well, whether he gave it for the clip or the tug, you know, the tug was just on the line, which is effectively a penalty, but the clip started outside the box, Tam, and then he fell into it, you know.
I didn't think that was a penalty either.
I agree with you here. Can I just say to you though, it's getting difficult because suddenly you're in a situation, it takes such a long time. You've celebrated a goal in our day, Tam. Sometimes you had to cuddle people who you hadn't come to the game with, and they're next to you and you're cuddling people that you really don't want to cuddle, and then all of a sudden 2 minutes later the goal's chalked off. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, we were watching the game on Saturday and I think, was it Leicester? It came up 4-1 in the video printer.
Yeah.
And we were like, 4-1, and then about 5 minutes later we looked, it was 3-1 again. We're like, what's going on?
Yeah. Just for the benefit of some of our younger viewers, Tam's talking about the video printer, which is Tam obviously watching football in his days with Frank Boff. Is that fair? The video printer. Coming from?
I get caught on my real radio with all we had was that we weren't like Music Clyde with the screens and all. I get caught with the video printer. It was Celtic versus St Johnstone, and I came over goal at Perth, and it went. So St Johnstone 1, Celtic 0. Goal scorer, I can't remember his name. It was Clark or something like that. And I said, "Oh, what a player! You know, captain of the team, leading by example." And then it went own goal.
Video printer. Happy days. Celtic 5, St Mirren 1. Well, eventually Celtic, you know, their superiority showed Allison when St Mirren got a man sent off. They were always going to be really up against it. But again, Celtic out of the traps flying. But I don't know about you, but I thought St Mirren, like Partick Thistle, played some really good football.
I thought it was commendable that they went and had a go. I think Celtic are very difficult to live with just now, particularly on their own turf. The record is, the home record, unbeaten records going back now a fair few seasons. I think they're pretty formidable on their own patch. So I think it can be quite a daunting task when you know you're going in to try and stop them. I think there's a sense of maybe being unburdened by any league pressures for St Mirren going, and you think it's a one-off shot at the cup. Go and have a bit of a go. I thought they look like a team that are fairly confident just now, St Mirren, fairly reflective of where they are in the league and of how performances have been.
Would you have sent the St Mirren player off for that as a handball?
No.
I thought that was harsh.
And I thought that double jeopardy thing, I thought there was a decision a few seasons ago not to do that, so you're being punished, you concede the penalty and you lose a man. I thought there was a decision that you would only be penalised for one offence.
I thought even the actual penalty was harsh.
Soft. It was soft.
Battered against them. I mean,
so they're saying denying a goal scoring opportunity, clear goal scoring opportunity, it's a red card. You're right, Alison. I don't sure of the rules.
That's Alison over there. Yeah. So There is a gag for that, but I'm not going to say it to you. Anyway, apart from that, Celtic, again, clinical, Ruffy, getting the goals. You know, when McGregor hits his shot and suddenly it rebounds, if you're a Predator, suddenly O has just displayed to everybody, you know, it's a nice place to get a goal 3 or 4 yards out from the line.
Yeah, but he looked pretty confident, you know, he looked pretty strong as well, you know, he anticipated it. But again, as we're talking about Celtic and Tam being a centre forward, see if you're a centre forward, you just stay in the box and you know it's coming in. You know they're going to get wide and you know it's going to get fired right across the goal. All you've got to be is half a yard sharper than that centre half and you're going to nick in like Maeda did, Kyogo did. They're just going to flash balls across the... I don't even think they look up when they're in the wide areas. They just get there and just fire it in.
But what about the subs, Ruffy? I mean, 4 of them score. That just shows you the strength.
Hatate, I think, is the one that they have to keep their eyes on because there must be people watching him. He's just grown and getting stronger and stronger and better.
Yeah, and Ange Postecoglou is well aware that he's got a squad that can contribute.
The guys coming on are not sort of feeling sorry for themselves because they're not starting. They're just ready for however minutes they've got to play, and they want to make a contribution and make an impact, and that's what they're doing. And you know, that's when having a strong squad is you know, something really hugely positive for us. You can have a big squad and people not contributing because they're disappointed they're not starting.
I just think he's got options all over the park now. I mean, Giacomakis is gone, and people think, oh well, there's an injury to Kyogo. Is he going to be left short? But the guy all comes in, and you know, he's slowly but surely after a couple of weeks looks as if he could be a ready replacement.
Yep, I think it's great for him to get off the mark. I think that when you're a new striker at any old firm club, you need to score kind of early in your tenure there. He got his goal. He can play Maeda through the middle as well. You know, he can play through there. So I think Celtic are well covered, and he's right. You know, the strength of Celtic's squad's incredible. You know, they're making 4 and 5 changes, and the guys that are coming on are just as good as the ones coming off. He rested a few players. Hatate come on, scored a great goal. So no, listen, it's all building up nicely. I think the league's done, but in terms of the cup competitions, I think Rangers have shown in flashes that, particularly in that game at Ibrox against Celtic, that they can serve it up to Celtic on the day. So it'll be interesting to see obviously the final at the end of the month to see who comes out on top of that. I think if Celtic were to win that, I think the treble would be odds on. But if Rangers win it, then they've got a chance to do a cup double. So that's all building up nicely to that cup final. Yeah,
great credit to St Mirren, by the way. They played some really good football. As ever, there's never a week goes by without the manager saying, okay, yep, great credit to the players for the way they played. But when there's a refereeing decision that irks the manager, he's quick to point it out.
So this has happened to us before against Dundee United, and are the referees refereeing the game? Or is the guy sitting in VAR refereeing the game? I don't know anymore. Not Stephen's fault if he's not been asked to check that. And I specifically asked the fourth official, can we check for the foul on Alex Gogic, because our boys were adamant. And that sounds like sour grapes, but it's not. It's a case as the referee refereeing the game or somebody else refereeing the game. It's tough to take.
I think Stephen Robinson's right, Alison. You're getting to a point now where you're saying, wait a minute, is the referee calling these shots here? The VAR's only there to advise him. Unless it's a matter of fact, it's an offside.
Yeah, I think he absolutely does have a point. I think both instances that you referenced there are valid points to make. I think in the last 3 months, 2.5 months since VAR came in, I think there were always going to be issues with things like that. I think you do need some clarity in terms of when should they get involved and when should they, like, for example, I think if you miss a very blatant red card offence, I think it's fair enough to call it back and say there's been an off the ball incident that you've
missed. Have a look at it again.
Have a look at it again. Yeah. Or that foul that you've just, have a look at it again. But I do think there's a point where they have been over meddling in games, for want of another word. I think you do have to leave it to the referee, and if the referee seeks an alternative angle or another look, then you take it from there. But I would agree with him at times. Yeah.
Okay, we've offered our thoughts on the footballing issues. More often than not, there are other issues that can tarnish a game or indeed be worthy of compliment, and we offer opinion on this show on a regular basis. I'll offer it, Ruffy. You can, give us your tuppence worth if you want on this, Tam, Alison, anybody who wants to speak up. But I think the banner that was unfurled, regardless of your politics, I think the banner that was unfurled by the Celtic fans in that Green Brigade area was unbecoming of being a Celtic fan. I just think, you know, whatever your politics are and Douglas Ross's position within the Conservative Party, I thought that banner let the club down, and I hope Celtic take action against the people who unveiled it. Kids have to see that sort of language when they're going to the game, and I just, you know, I know what it's like to be a Celtic fan who can act properly, and that is not the way to do it.
No, again, I would think the majority of Celtic fans would agree 100% with that. You know, there is an element there that keep letting the club down. They keep getting fined and fined and fined, and I know the club have done something about it when they shut it down at one stage. So I think we're getting near that again, you know, because they're just tarnishing the name of the club, and nobody wants to see that thing. I think we've spoke about it on numerous occasions. If you are going to protest, do your protesting outside, you know, and don't bring it upon the club inside.
Yep, here on that one. Celtic into the hat, Wraith Rovers into the hat as well. This cost Stephen Hamill his job. I don't think it was any great surprise, Tam, to us. We actually tipped Wraith Rovers to win that game on the Friday, as many people across the country who have seen Motherwell play would have also tipped Wraith Rovers. They just weren't at the races at all. Wraith Rovers, you know, certainly didn't look like the Championship side.
No, they didn't. I think that Wraith Rovers excellent this season. I spoke to Ian Murray after the game. He's got a really, really strong squad there. I think if you look at we've obviously never seen the game live, but if you looked at the highlights, you know, the Wraith Rovers were all over them in the first half. I think Motherwell were poor. You could see the agitation from the Motherwell fans, you know, going in 2-0 down. You know, not acceptable. Big support there, supporting Motherwell. And really, Stephen needed a big team talk. He needed them to come out and win the game. They get the early goal, but you know, they never really looked like getting back into the tie, and Goncalves seals it late on. So really disappointed, as I said, for Stephen and Brian. But it was one of the things that was coming, you know, and they needed a result. You know, they slipped down the league. You know, he's only been there 6 months, but the results weren't good enough, and I think Motherwell need to go and get an experienced manager in to save them.
Yeah, I think the most depressing thing about it was the inevitability about it. I think you sensed that Motherwell were in free fall. I think knowing when the result came through, I don't even know if it was that much of a shock. I think people were almost anticipating the fact that it was just another stumble. I think Motherwell have given off a scent of just being there for the taking across recent weeks. I think you could sense that when you knew it was on the cards, I think. And then, of course, the minute you hear that Steve Hamill's left without speaking to everyone, you kind of know that the writing's on the wall from that point.
Yeah. I look at the performance of Wraith Rovers. You can't take anything away from it. Sometimes when the headlines are superseded by the departure of a manager, it takes away from the performance of Wraith Rovers, but they went about their business professionally, and as Tam mentioned there, Ian Murray was quick to emphasise the fact, Ruffy, that he does have good players there.
Yeah, and they're also on a good run. You know, they were out of the Championship race there for a wee while, but they've strung a good load of wins, and obviously they're just hanging about with Inverness Cali. I think the two of them have got their act together. They're not that far behind the other four, and as we spoke about it earlier in the show, this league is the most unpredictable, you know, because even Hamilton and Cove can take points off of anybody at the top at any given time, so there's still a lot to play for. I think Wraith Rovers will now be saying to themselves, as Inverness will be, we can get in this top four if we just keep playing the way they're playing. And you could see the confidence they had at the weekend there. You know, they were absolutely going for the jugular. And if you're a Motherwell supporter and you know the pressure's under you, you don't want to start the game by losing a penalty. You know, that penalty was just, you could see the deflation in everybody, you know, when they thought they were going to get something out of the game, and then you lose a penalty right in the early stages. It's a terrible decision. Yep.
Ian Murray was, as you would expect, a man quick to point out that his players, some of them, could easily play in that Premiership.
So honestly, we've got some of the players we've got in this team are really, really quality. They're not far off the Premier League themselves. Even a couple that could be in it. Well, Isma obviously on loan from there, and Willie, who wasn't playing today, on loan from Ross County. But players believe they're going to win games. They don't ever go out thinking they're not going to win games.
Yeah, full marks to Wraith Rovers. The flip side of this is who gets the Motherwell job, Tam, and off the back of that as well, you have Alan Burrows heading to Aberdeen. You're saying to yourself, oof, this club looks as if at the moment it needs somebody to steady the ship, get the rudder going in the right direction and make a big call on who's going to steady the ship and take the team forward, because I think a lot of them, there's no point in them coming out and saying they underperformed after he's gone.
Yeah, I think the players have got to take a lot of criticism for this. I think that as a manager, obviously you live and die by results, but I think the players have been so poor over the last few weeks, months even, to go to Wraith Rovers and put in that type of performance when your manager needs a result. You need a result. It's a Scottish Cup game. You've got to get out fired up. You're on a bad run. You've got a big travelling support there, and they go out and they're insipid again, and they're 2-0 down at half time. So, listen, I think Paul Lambert today ruled out, him coming back. I think he'd have been a popular one with the Motherwell supporters. A really, really good player at the club, good track record. Who else did they come? Jack Ross in the mix, Goodwin. Guys that have been in and about the league and lost their jobs. So I don't know. Neil Lennon's another one, Motherwell. I don't think he'd be everyone's cup of tea, but he would begin and get a reaction out of the players. I know that for a fact. So Motherwell need somebody to come in and get those players performing again, because I don't think they're a bad group of players. I just think they've been putting in poor performances, and they need maybe a different voice or a more experienced manager to get more out of them.
Yeah, I think Paul Lambert might have cost a wee bit too much.
Yeah, I think so, and I think Paul Lambert is in a position where he can probably afford to sit just now and see what else comes up. He doesn't have to be rushing into any decision about where he goes next. I think he has the luxury of taking his time and deciding what move's the right move for him. I do think it's probably important to make an appointment that's the right appointment rather than being too quick to go for someone. I think they're in a very precarious position alongside Dundee United. I think Kilmarnock are only 3 points above them too. I think the appointment has to be the right one if they're to avoid sliding down.
Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. We were talking about managers who are trying to get the best out of their team and try to, keep the fans on board. Dundee United fans at this moment are unhappy with the board. The manager can't seem to get a trick out of the team, and at the end of this one, I think the manager voiced his displeasure at the performance of his players.
The cup was hugely disappointing. I was disappointed with how the game panned out today. I thought the first half was very nervy, very scrappy. I thought our players that just needed to see a wee bit more personality from them, a wee bit more bravery, and that's what probably disappointed me the most today. I thought once Kilmarnock scored, we wobbled a wee bit.
Okay, not happy with the bravery of his team.
No, if you listen to his interviews over the last month or so, he's been trying to support the players. He's been trying to talk them up and say, oh, you were unlucky there, but the players put in a shift. But you can see that drifted now. You can see he's getting really disappointed in the shift that they're putting in, because they know his job's on the line, just like everybody else. So they definitely need, somebody to come up with the goods. When we look at Stephen Fletcher, you're looking at Charlie Mulgrew there, you're hoping that players like that can bond the rest of the players in the team, but it doesn't seem to be happening, and he desperately needs 3 points.
Yeah, of course, the flip side of that is Derek McInnes. Everybody was highlighting their away for him. It's a good win for Kelly.
Do you know what? I've been here before when we won at Hearts in the League Cup, and I thought then that would give the confidence coming up as a newly promoted team that we can not just rely on our home form. Our home form's been outstanding and it's given us every chance, but the away form's been awful. It can only help. It's not going to do us any harm.
Yeah, nice goal for Kyle Vassell there, and I think Kelly will be hoping that is that little bit of the touch paper being lit for them trying to get away from the bottom end of the table.
Yep, they're away to Hibs at the weekend, so that away form will continue because Hibs will beat them.
Yeah. Okay, there you are. You heard it here first. Don't worry if you're angry with what Tam's just said. Remember, he tipped the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl. Alison, just on the point there, if Kelly are desperate to get away, Dundee United, I think, and Motherwell are the most likely to be in those bottom two positions. Maybe Kelly. You could pick from any one of those, but Tony Asghar said after the defeat that if they are relegated, Dundee United are prepared for it. That's the last thing you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, the comments came in a radio interview just before the game. I thought they were quite eye-opening when you read what they had to say. I think with the budget they have available to them, they shouldn't be anywhere near there. When you look at the other teams, you think of Livingston, you think of St Mirren, where they are just now. Dundee United have a very healthy budget in terms of what they can do in the league. They shouldn't be down there at all. I think even on Saturday I was at Tannadice and watching Stephen Fletcher and how isolated he is at times, and you think they're just not getting the best out of players that they've got that should be offering more. Dylan Levitt was another one. I thought he just seemed to drift out of the game entirely. I think these are quality players that should be able to give you something. You should be getting much more out of them.
Yeah, if we had a few shocks, Ruffy, I don't think any of us predicted Livingston to lose 3-0 to Inverness Galley Thistle.
No, you could see David Martindale, he couldn't believe it either. You know, obviously you have to give credit to Inverness. I thought they were superb. Billy Mackay again showing what he can do, score goals. You know, if you give him the amount of space and time, he's got the ability to hurt you, and that's what they did. But no, I don't think that would have busted a lot of people's coupons at the weekend, because I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Yeah, wait till you see the coupon of David Martindale.
We beat 3-0 and put out the Scottish. I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't take that in the chin if it was Aberdeen, Dundee United, Hibs, Hearts, whoever it was, it'd be. So it's nothing to do with the level of the opponent. I'm gutted we're out the Scottish Cup, because we had a home tie against opposition where we probably should be playing better. It shouldn't be a 3-0 scoreline to Inverness, but it is, and fair play to them for that, but I'm not happy with the manner of the scoreline.
It's a great Scottish slang word, isn't it, Tom? I mean, honestly, for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know, Coupon used to be, have a look at his face. I'll tell you one thing, not happy, but geez, Inverness played well, didn't they? Took their chances.
They did, and Billy Mackay, Ruffy spoke about it there, a guy that scored goals everywhere he's been.
What about the second one?
Fantastic goal, you know, bent it in the top corner, two great finishes. Inverness, a couple of, Livingston a few chances as well, but nobody would have seen a 3-0. For Inverness in that game. They took their opportunity. Listen, they were fortunate to get back into the tournament. I think they knew that, and it was the ultimate free hit in my opinion. You know, Billy Dodge's team talk, listen, go out and enjoy it, you shouldn't even really be here, so go out and put in a performance, and they certainly did that. And you know, they're starting to, as Ruffy says, they had a poor start to the season, Inverness, and Billy was under a wee bit of pressure, but over the last maybe month or two they're starting to put a run together, a result, so they'll be confident. They've got a great, you know, pedigree in the Scottish Cup, Inverness, and you know, they've won it not that long ago as well. So no, they'll be a tough tie for some of them.
Yeah, I don't think Billy Dodds is too worried about the fact they got in on a technicality.
I felt a lot of people thought that, David, where they just thought, well, you stand aside now, you're lucky to be there. No chance. You got so much bad luck in this game, so any good luck you take and you capitalise on it. And I said that to my players before the game, and I thought we did. It's my best performance since I've been here, the players' best performance since I've been here. We've had some big results, and I go back to Arbroath beating Livingston here early in the season.
Yeah, fair play to him. Billy doing a good job there. Inverness into the next round. The draw will be made after Darvel against Falkirk, which is a match we're just about to talk about. Just mentioning, going back to the Friday, Hearts are through, and again, as if similar to Ange Postecoglou's strength and depth, I think Robbie Nielsen wanted to highlight the importance of the way the modern game is played now, which is with a squad.
That's important, you know, we've got a squad here, and it's important that, you know, the guys that started I thought done well, but then the boys coming on give us that extra energy, but at the same quality, you know, so I thought Oda came in and did well. You know, I thought Atkinson did really well, having not played for a while either.
I think a lot of Hearts fans will be wondering if they can get Michael Smith on a new contract. You know, when you look at his goal the other week there, which was scored as if he was a world-class centre forward, he's been playing well. Yeah,
he's got a few. What he's got just now is a bit of competition for places. I think when you've got a winning team and a team on a fairly consistent run, then you've got a hunger with people to get in and fight for a place, and I think you've seen that. A couple of people I think have had pretty strong seasons at Tynecastle, and I think the only real concern that there's been in terms of Hearts and everyone else, like you look at the gap between Celtic and Rangers, and then there's a massive gap, and then Hearts, and then I think everyone else, the inconsistency this term I think has been so notable in terms of the quality just within the league. I think teams have really toiled to have any kind of regular and consistent runs of form. I think Hearts will be easily third place finished this season, but I think there'll still be quite a chasm between them and Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah, Michael Smith actually has lost 3 finals. How many did you lose, Tam?
4.
4.
So he's got a wee bit to go.
Yeah, so stop moaning, Michael.
No, stop moaning, go with it.
You've got another one to come. Many finals did you lose, Ruffy?
1.
Just 1?
Yeah.
When did you win? 1?
I was only in 1.
Many finals have you and I been in?
Oh, but in schools cup finals, but that's only 1.
I was in 2, but I only won 1.
What was the other one, the second one?
Aberdeen, 3-0.
Ah, yeah, of course. Yep, too good. Starkey scored that day?
Oh, they were all playing.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, you've got to let it go, Ruffy. I can tell it's still written all over your face.
Somebody had handed in a case of champagne, a Hibs supporter, before the game, thinking we were going to win. And obviously they get beat 3-0. And the case of champagne was lying there after the game. And somebody went to open it and I don't open it, we shouldn't be drinking it. I'll have to drink it today, we'll take it home, we and drink it.
I love the...
Can't leave a case of champagne.
No,
that was like when we get beat off Livingston in the final. With Hibs, we had 40,000 fans there, and Livingston had about 4,000. And we had the T-shirts and all that, League Cup winners.
Okay.
Wonder if they're still in a box somewhere. 2004.
Yeah, okay, let's not stop talking about champagne that you missed out on. Ayr 4, Elgin 1, felt sorry for the Elgin boys. That is what you call within a whisker of going through.
Yeah, well, for at one point, given the scoring for how long they held it for, but yeah, I think Ayr eventually just showed the superior quality that they've got and a bit fitter as well and went through.
I love the BBC cameras when Elgin scored and I think the commentator said, and the Elgin fans going crazy, and there was a really tight shot, and I thought I looked and I thought there must be maybe 8 Elgin fans, and they've got a really tight shot as if it's mobbed in the Elgin, and then is it Akin Fenway scores the goal, and then he's going over to all 8 of them and going, for God's sake, they've made the journey from hell and you're rubbing salt into the wounds.
Aye. Listen, it was very, very close for United. That would have been a shocker. That would have been probably a bigger shock than any other one. So in extra time, they were scunnered with losing that late goal, and it was always going to be United. But the main thing is they're in the next round, United, and they're one step from Hampden.
Yeah, Ruffy, I think all of us here after the Kelly pies and of course the Empire biscuits, the cakes, the Bridies, it's all there. We hope Darvel beat Falkirk tonight because we're going to hunt for Falkirk. Yeah. Although, to be fair, you and I are doing the dinner in a couple of weeks, so it's a tight one. I don't know how to call this one, Ruffy.
I hope it's quite a comfortable Falkirk win. I know where my lawyer is.
I'm coming along to that heck.
No, isn't it amazing? If Darvel were to beat Falkirk, I'm not saying they will, but if they were, when we get to the draw later on at 5:30, there's a few teams in there that'll be rubbing their hands going, we get drawn against each other, we could be in the semi-final.
Well, see in the quarter-final draw, Ruffy, because the last 16 draw was rubbish, I mean, it wasn't really anything you thought, oof, there's a game. Everybody will be looking and saying, please put Celtic and Rangers together so that there's somebody who can get a chance. That's the way everybody else looks at it, isn't it?
Yeah, if Darvel were to beat Falkirk, they'd be just looking at Rangers and Celtic. And I don't care what they say, if they get drawn at home at Darvel, I don't think there'll be anybody saying, no, we want to play at Darvel.
Yeah.
We don't want to switch this game.
Just out of curiosity, Darvel are in Ayrshire, aren't they?
Yes.
Well, so when do you think they start speaking like Terry Thomas? Like an English country jet down there?
You know what I mean? Yeah, we respect the support of Darvel, so we're just going to play in front of 3,000.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd move it to Kilmarnock?
No, I think they'd move it to Parkhead or Ibrox.
You think so?
60,000.
Yeah.
300 grand.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have a word with John if they get through.
And they supply the pies at their away ground. They take the pies to.
I do think Falkirk will edge at you, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think. Well, they're not an unknown quantity now. The Falkirk know what they're going to get. Yeah. But if Darvel put up the performance that they had, there's no reason why.
Yeah. Ali?
Yeah, on paper, it looks like Falkirk, but we thought that about Aberdeen.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think Falkirk will go through, but you watch it, you'll have a bit of intrigue because you think, can they go and do it again.
Absolutely.
This is where, unfortunately for Darvel, this is where the dream ends. I'd fancy Falkirk strongly.
Oh, aye. So now that you've eaten the pies. Okay. Just as a Hibby, Mikey Devlin looks as if he could be close to a contract. I'm delighted for him. I like Mikey because I went to school with his dad. Okay, there you are. Sometimes on here, people go,
a bit of nepotism.
his Tam played in America. Peter thinks he's a great lad.
I've not said that. They've
Nothing,
in America.
Alison, just a look of disdain now that she's completely and utterly out of the predictor race.
Yep.
But
no, listen, I think his talent's never been in question. He's a very, very good defender. Obviously came through at Hamilton Accies and stuff. So, no, if he's fit, and it appears to be, I think I spoke to Scott Brown about him. He was doing it at Fleetwood, couldn't get in their team, but he trained every day. He was fit. So he's obviously come up to Hibs, and Hibs are a wee bit light at the back. So great, it's a great opportunity for him. What a move that could be for him. Get his career back on track. So I'm glad that he's going to sign and gets an opportunity at Hibs.
Brilliant.
Do you have a room in the house where you just go into and you just phone everybody that you know? Like Ian Murray and Scott Brown, and just
So he does this. Hi Ian, I haven't heard from you in a while. I played with you. How are you getting on?
I spoke to Ian after the game, and he was really, listen, we're all similar age. We all come through the ranks together. Me, Stephen Hamill, Brian Kerr, Ian Murray. We all played with Scotland 21s and stuff, and he was feeling it for they two. And it's amazing that managers, Ian's been in that position himself at St Mirren. Where he knew he was going to get the sack, and listen, he was delighted to obviously win, but he felt really. It didn't take any great pleasure out of seeing two guys that he knew lose their job, so he made that clear to me as well.
But I think a lot of managers are like that as well, because they know how difficult the job is. So, and there is definitely a human element to it, and there is definitely, when you move away from football, we always say in this programme, football's only a game. People love their club. Some people live in, their whole day and their mood and their week is dominated by it. But if you detach yourself from it and understand the feelings of other people, then, I think that's the sensible thing to do. And
yeah, I think so. I think when you talk, I think we're guilty. All of us in the media have been quite flippant. You're saying, we're probably a couple of games away from the sack, or you're on the El Sakiko, as we were talking about the Hibs Aberdeen game. I think we can be guilty of being very flippant when you forget that it's people's livelihoods that are there, and it can be very difficult. I think if you have a bad run as a manager and you fall out the game, sometimes it can be really hard to get back in. And you look at Stevie Hamill, and I think he enjoyed the role he had. He was the academy director at Motherwell. You think it's a fairly comfortable long-term post that you're in when the opportunity comes up to go and take the first team, and you think, okay, you go, he's a legend at the club, he's well thought of for the length of time that he was there as a player, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on Saturday night, that long drive home, where you're thinking, where do you go next? Where are you now? 6 months ago you were sitting in a really comfortable long-term role at the club, and all of a sudden you're thinking, I don't know what my next step is now. So I think there is a human element, and I think certainly if we forget it sometimes, I don't think other managers do, because they're the ones that are privy to the day-to-day pressures that they're working under.
And it's not as if it's a Premier League. It's not as if you're getting a £10 million payoff.
Yeah, it's...
you can just go, I don't need to work again. These guys have got to go and work again. They're not earning massive amounts of money. They're earning good money, but they've got to go and try and get another job. And Alison's right. Once you're out of the game, Scotland's such a small place. It's very difficult. There's not a lot of manager jobs or coaching jobs in Scotland. Particularly your first job, if you don't do well in your first job, you maybe never get another opportunity at it.
Yeah. Ruffy, there's a little stat that came out. The SPFL is obviously wanting to champion the fact that, per head of population, Scotland is the absolute top of the league for attending football matches. The statistics that have come out today show that 21.3 attendees per 1,000 people at matches across the 4 divisions in Scotland. It's a weekly average support of about 117,000, 118,000 fans come to the game. It's 65% higher than the second place country in this list, which is the Netherlands. And then you've got Denmark in third, followed by Iceland, and then England and Wales further back. It's per head of population. Scotland is just fanatical about football, and if you think if we were all going in the same direction without the infighting, we would have a lot more money for a product in here to make it even better.
Well, seemingly the powers that be behind the clubs have already had that meeting. I haven't heard anything that's happened. They're going to take it further. So I'm really hoping that they are doing things behind the scenes. And I take Rangers and Celtic out of that because they've got the crowd. You know, I'm not distance the figures there, but I think Rangers and Celtic make that very, very healthy. You know, the figures with the crowds that they're getting. You know, if
Yeah, but Aberdeen and Hearts, when they're winning, Ruffy, you know, at stages, you know, Aberdeen took some great support away when they managed to string 3 or 4, but Hearts...
At Easter Road too, Aberdeen
forget
had a
Hibs.
really healthy...
Hibs as well.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a really healthy
Sorry,
crowd.
conscious
even
bias
at,
against Hibs.
Yeah.
Easter Road, that...
But you say that was another Scottish Cup win
Calm
out the
down.
window.
Calm down, you'll be getting on the feed. There's unconscious bias in here every 2 minutes. Yeah.
I think even given how difficult a season it's been for Aberdeen, they've still turned out in their numbers. But at the risk of sounding quite patronising, it's difficult to overcook. Football has a very particular cultural role in Scotland to Scottish people. It's an important facet of daily life. It's a kind of social lubricant almost in terms of conversation or chat. It has a very key role in terms of the cultural status of the country.
Absolutely, we're absolutely mad for it. Some people overly mad. Okay, let's look at the English Premier League results over the weekend, because there's a tasty one coming up, which is West Ham 1-1 with Chelsea. It was a good result. Arsenal, VAR denied them a win against Brentford. Crystal Palace denied a win against Brighton. It finished 1-1. Fulham dispatched 2 past Nottingham Forest. Leicester thumped Tottenham Hotspur. It was a fight back from Wolves to defeat Southampton. Bournemouth and Newcastle couldn't be separated at 1-1. Marcus Rashford just keeps on scoring. 2-0 win over Leeds United. Manchester City 3-1 win over Aston Villa. And it's Liverpool-Everton tonight. The clear message we're getting, Tam, is that VAR is causing problems everywhere.
Yeah, it is, and you know, to not draw the line properly and cost somebody a goal, I think that guy's been removed from future fixtures at the minute. So listen, it's not just up here we're having problems with VAR, and England have had it long before us, a couple of seasons before us. So yeah, it's not good enough. They shouldn't be making these mistakes when you've got that technology. But listen, big game tonight, Liverpool-Everton.
Yeah, who are you going for?
I think Everton will win, and the pressure will be on Jurgen Klopp even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Must be on his last legs.
Okay, so that basically is the flag and the signal for you to steam on to Liverpool to win tonight if Bonzo thinks Everton are going to win. Ruffy, where's your
Big
money?
Dyche will do a job on them.
My home advantage, I think Liverpool have got to turn the corner. They've got far too many good players. I know Everton got a good result last week, but this is a big one, you know, so I'm going for Liverpool.
Everton.
Thanks, Ali.
There you are. You two sticking together.
Look at Liverpool, 1 point from the last 4 league games.
I don't think all is well.
Yeah. Don't forget, you and Tam can get on a Zoom call after the match to Sean Dyche. You know, you won't know the two of you, but Tam calls him anyway. Yeah. So I'll go for Liverpool to win.
Don't take your snood to your confidence.
Yeah. The answer to the quiz. When was the last time Everton won at Anfield in the league? It was February 2021.
Oh, for goodness
sake. In a 2-0 win, Richarlison and
20 years out.
Sigurdsson scored the goals. So I thought that would catch everybody out. What about the competition that started today? Here's a quick look back over it with Adam.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win this iconic replica Ajax shirt by answering this simple question. How many times have Ajax won the European Cup? Post your answers in the comment section below. If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Hey Ruffy, did you clock it? Did you clock the stars?
Yeah. Okay.
Don't give it away, Bill.
Okay. Don't be fooled by the jersey. On that point, give us your answer, and if you hit the subscribe button, you'll double your chances of winning in the competition. We had 2 big winners from last week's competition. Andrew Boyd and Gerard Murphy. Will be sending the books out to those 2 guys. But so many people are winning prizes every week. We've got belters. Ali, all I'm going to say to you is next week's competition prize is on my right hand side, and we're not telling anybody, but it looks good.
It does indeed. Santa brought a version of that to my house this Christmas. It's a very good prize.
But has yours got
Yours
the
is for the
3
barras.
stars on it?
Yours is for the barras.
Yeah,
Check.
yeah, and is your name on the bag at 2 Q's and a silent R? Yeah, so that's all I'm saying to you, Ali. You've got to get the real deal. Anyway, that's competitions coming fast and furious. All you have to do is subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. If you download the app, you can watch the programme. You'll get all the breaking news. You can watch the Saturday programme 4 till 6. We've got Kerry previewing the SPFL fixtures on a Saturday morning, and there's lots more for you to suck up on our channel and our website as well. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today. One thing you get, it's uncensored, unbiased, unmatched. You'll get an opinion. Some you like, some you don't, but it's only a game. Thank you to you for watching today. We'll see you tomorrow.